Run that back by me. What were you saying?
The biggest thing is, I think when it comes down to communication, it's a few things, and I'll say primarily for me, two. Are we communicating from a state of brokenness? Or are we communicating from a state of love and experience? Right? And observation. We add observation to that. Love, experience, and observation. Again, as I said early on, I've seen it, right? I've seen it. And so it's interesting when I experience somebody and she's, had the dynamic that I've had versus not, right? It's, and if not, then there's the things I have to overcome. And it's a shit kind of goes uphill feel, kind of, and then I have to even decide in that situation, whether somebody thinks they're worth it or not. Do I even want to go through this? And so it's again, we're both the prize, and so you have to actually ask yourself. And we're all looking for somebody that we're compatible with, kind of what Eric mentioned earlier. And so I think communication, we're naturally going to communicate different. We're men and women. We naturally, I'm very, my father, I'm a military kid, right? I played sports my entire life, football scholarship. So the thing is that my way is get it done, execution, make it happen.
Right.
Right. I don't do recreational complaining. I mean, if you complain to me about something, I'm over here like, baby, how can I fix that? Because I don't want you to hurt no more. I want you to complain. We communicate different, and it's okay. I want to say it's okay. We should. I've seen a man be a man and a father figure and a provider. I know what that looks like, right? You see what I'm saying? So I think in that communication, as long as we both have the desire to understand and love and empathy, I remember one of the most profound things I ever heard was, nobody owes it to you to understand you. The task is yours to be understood. But are you communicating in a way? Because for most manly men, alpha type dudes, you can't come with a whining tongue. It has to be, hey, baby, hey,
That's
forward,
the
move.
truth for them alpha males.
You can't come to me, oh my God, baby, I'll be right here. I'll spasm out. I will spasm out. And so you gotta actually, again, if you want a Barack, be a Michelle.
Let's stay together. I'm loving you whether now, whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Y'all, let's groove.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Michelle Obama.
Former first couple.
I am thrilled to be here today alongside the Vice President and my favorite person here, Jill Biden.
I just got to keep going back to that. Hopefully people get that example of what I'm saying. So I think communication is it's pivotal. It's a necessary thing. But the question is, are you communicating in a style, in a format that's specific to your man? You see what I'm saying? This ain't universal. It's not universal. You can't take a universal approach with all men. Understand the guy that you're dealing with. And if he had that type of mother, maybe he wants that type of woman because that was his first love without sex. No different from if you had a hell of a father, that was your first love without being physical. Your father was that. So that's your example. My sister, who had this type of father, that's the caliber. That's the measuring stick.
Well, you know, when it comes to communication, Stephen Covey.
Since the book first hit stores in 1989, the 7 Habits book has sold more than 20 million copies, has been translated into 38 different languages, and was named as the #1 most influential business book of the 20th century. Our little consulting company called Covey Leadership has now grown from a handful of associates to become Franklin Covey, the global leader in effectiveness training for organizations, teams, and individuals in 123 countries around the world. The success that we have been blessed with is all based on aligning ourselves and our organization with foundational principles of effectiveness. We have learned
Seek first to understand and then to be understood.
Facts.
I try to utilize that approach, and that works for me. And I find that when I speak life into people, which I always have tried to do, even when I was in college, one of my professors was like, Leona, you just need to empower people through words, because you just have a way of just speaking life into people, right? And so I try to meet people on the level that I see them on. I try not to meet people in those low places unless they need to be built up. So I try not to tear people down with words, but to meet them at a level where they'll answer to that king or that queen within themselves, you know.
What was he like?
I didn't know who he was, you know. I knew, I'd heard, he was into a big row with another young man. And so I said to him, may I speak to you? And he was cursing. Whew, I wouldn't give a... I said, I understand that, but let me speak to you. If these mother... I said, I got you. However, let me speak to you. And finally, I said, when was the last time anyone told you how important you are? Did you know our people stood on auction blocks, were sold, bought and sold? Did you know, so that you could stay alive today? And finally, he heard me and stopped talking and started to weep. And I put my arms around him and I walked him back into the arena, and he quieted. And I went back to my trailer, and Janet Jackson came running in. She said, Dr. Angelo, I don't believe you actually spoke to Tupac Shakur. So I said, darling, I don't know 6-pack, 4-pack. I had never heard of him. But I mean, that wasn't in my world.
Communication is tricky. We had a psychotherapist with us a few weeks ago, and she said it was the #1 reason why couples are in counseling, you know. For me, my measure of a man, I love my daddy, but in my family, my grandfather, because I had I grew up with my daddy and my grandfather. My grandfather was the go-to. He was the patriarch in the family. That's just the way it was. He had 6 sons. So when somebody needed a house co-signed on, when one of his nephews needed a car co-signed on, and somebody needed money, somebody needed food, they weren't knocking on my daddy's door. They was knocking on my grandfather's door. So, you know, for me, I get it when you say your measure of a man, and that comes from your upbringing, you know. I have a question for you both. Now, Bobby, I know you've been divorced. Eric, have you ever gone through a divorce, or have you ever been married?
I have not. No.
Do you have any children?
No.
Okay. I say all of that to say, when you think of a marriage, and I think Bobby is the only person that can speak to this, what is some advice you would give people who are thinking about marriage? What is some advice that you can provide a woman or man?
Yeah, I got
Hey, Bobby, Leona,
Yes, sir.
I have to shamelessly
Go ahead,
interject.
Eric.
As a guy that's never been married before, I would like to know, before you give, maybe some advice for the ladies out there, for a man, for a guy, I want to know what potential quote unquote red flags I would need to be on the lookout for if and when I'm considering marriage.
Yeah, it's a universal answer. It's a universal answer. And that's a good one, Eric. My answer is this, is when you're dating somebody, and if you guys remember when Eddie Murphy did the stand-up Raw, and he made the joke about the saltine cracker, and then when somebody gives you a Ritz, you think that's the best cracker you ever had in your life.
You just keep on waiting, you just wait, and finally, she gives you some. And it's the best you ever had in your life. This was it. This was the feeling I've been searching for. I finally made love. You didn't make love, it just felt real good. You know why? Because you waited 5 months for it. If you're starving and somebody throw you a cracker, you're gonna be like this. God damn, that's the best cracker I've ever ate in my life. That ain't no regular cracker, was it? What was that, a saltine? God damn, that was delicious. That wasn't no saltine, no, that was a Ritz. That wasn't no Ritz. I said, God, that's the best cracker I've ever ate in my life. Have another one, please, please, one more. Then you get married because you think you found the bomb, had the same crackers every day for a year, and you roll over one day and be like, hey, I just got some regular old crackers. You try to leave, have. So be careful. Marry you someone that's not gonna fool around on you, which would be hard to do in the 80s. Because
the thing that we have to be mindful of when we're dating is not making somebody bigger than what they are. You're in a relationship desert. It's been a minute. It's been a sexual desert. You holding out, and that's cool. All these things are great. But then somebody walks up. You have to be careful not to tell somebody how to exploit you. I've never seen, again, I'm from Alabama. I'm an Alabama boy. So in essence, I'm like this second largest city in the state of Alabama, moved to Houston. It's very interesting when you engage people. They'll tell you everything to say to them. So the reverse psychology is almost, hey, I'm going to give you exactly what you need to say back to me to get me. Well, so in other words, be patient. See somebody through the seasons. I want to see you through about 2 seasons. And when I say seasons, I'm talking about years. I want to see you mad. I want to see you happy. I want to see you go through a hard time. How did you solve that problem? I want to see you go through these waves. I'm not rushing. I did that when I was 21 years old. I got married young. In Alabama, everybody get married young. And in Houston, everybody in their 40s trying to get married. You know, so it's just a different place from where I come from. My kids, I'm 49. My oldest child almost 30. And so it's a bit different wherever I'm from. Everybody marries their high school sweetheart. But right now, with my eyes and ears wide open, I'm looking, seeing, paying attention, waiting. I'm a what Raheem Devon say, I'm a patient lover. I'm watching you. And I expect you to watch me too. This is both ways. Because also being a businessman, I need somebody that I can bring along with me. And that if I gotta go work the room, she won't be afraid if I leave her alone. That she can also, Ms. Baker, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
That she can work the room, and when we get home, she won't say, why the hell did you leave me all by myself? What? You know, so the thing is when you are really trying to date somebody, or like my sister said, Bobby, I dated this dude, and you know what, the 80-20 rule, I loved his 80. That 20 I was going to deal with. But I'll be goddamn if that 20 ain't growing to the 80. And the 80 turned into the 20. You don't want that. You don't want that. And that's because you so ready. You'll make somebody what you want.
Wow.
Instead of who they are.
Woo!
Really pay attention to people. It's my advice. And because marriage, whether you believe it or not, and whether we want to say it or not. Now I'm in the state of Texas. And let me tell you what they do in Texas. Y'all ass divide these assets. So your marriage is a business, whether you want to say it is or not. When you get divorced,
Community property, Texas.
that shit is a business player. And so my thing is that you want to really, really make sure that, are you in an Eric Benet and Halle Berry relationship?
I had an emotional breakdown, you know, and that window, my bay window looked real good. And I thought I was gonna go right through it.
My husband, who is just the joy of my life in India, thank you for giving me peace. Because only with the peace that you've brought me have I been allowed to go to places that I never even knew I could go.
And about a week later, he finally saw that I was in sue mode, and he said, I need to tell you something.
And
That article is true. I found out there was woman after woman after woman after woman after woman.
And she got to get him half. Y'all see what I'm saying?
come on, somebody.
The reality of it is hey, I want you to have so much. We both trying to keep ours. Not on that.
You want to minimize the risk.
We're gonna minimize the risk, Eric.
Ooh,
But Bobby, you just dropped something in there that is really stuck out to me. You hit on the point of having enough patience to see how they behave, how they approach, how they handle different waves and different seasons of what life has to throw at you. So if you're a guy like me that's never been married before, and let's say you're courting a woman, is there a time frame on that at all? Like how would you approach that so that you get a good view, a good picture, a good observation of those seasons?
The great thing about what you just asked, wow, that's a powerful question. It's not about time as much as it's about you gotta not be so you, from the standpoint that we all have experiences and you need to talk to me. We just said communication. Talk to me, understand, because what we all do and got the problem of missing out on our blessings is that we actually believe that we done seen something before. And you could fool around and miss out on your blessing because we didn't go through the full cycle of what the issue is. So you dismiss her or she dismisses you. And she said, I'm not going through that. No, I just see Tyrone did that. And when Tyrone, I learned from that experience. Well, it ain't about time. What it's about is going through the cycle. You got to go through the cycle of the experience and talk it through because it might not be what you thought it was. That makes sense? And so
that
thing is,
makes sense.
if I like you enough, see, here's the thing about love. There's some people I love that I don't like. But if I like you enough, then all of a sudden, my patience may be just a little bit kind of cute too. But if I like you enough, then you know what I'm saying? I may be a little bit more patient with you. But what we all have to do and realize is that we got to give the people that we come in contact with BOD, and that's benefit of the doubt. Because we'll think that we done seen somebody before because the scenario is similar, but ain't got nothing to do with each other. So what you have to do is don't be so you and early and easily dismissive, and be patient with somebody that has the potential of being your perfect partner. Because the reality of it is, truth be told, we got to train each other, whether we want to believe that or not. I got to train you, and you got to train me before everybody get all offensive. We got to train each other of how to love each other, because I was born in Alabama, in my house, in my Candyland cookie cutter house, and you could have been born in the same situation or something that's different. So what we have to do is be patient with each other if we like each other enough, right? And then turn around and grow together. Ain't nobody came out the cereal box and you reach your hand down, it's like, oh, he perfect. See, that's the issue. That's the drama. That's the facade. That's the lie we've been told. Ain't nobody perfect for me. No, they're perfect for you because they're good enough. And as you and I, Ms. Baker, talked about, there's nobody who's perfect. There's nobody there. We all settle is what I told you. I think I said in our conversation. We all settle. So to say, I ain't settling. No, you gonna settle. You know why? Because you ain't perfect.
I ain't settling.
No. Oh, trust me. You gonna settle because ain't none of us perfect. Ain't no dude perfect. We all got flaws.
You're right about that. Nobody's perfect.
We all got flaws.
It goes back to the language thing. When I hear that, that's a trigger word for me. I'd be like,
it's a trigger word. It's like Eric said, I may have my pet peeves. That's cool. Have your pet peeves.
No,
we gotta be careful in that.
Lord knows I'm not perfect. If y'all watch the podcast, Andrea, myself, and Bailey, and Miss Tracy J, we all know we're not perfect. I think what do y'all think about baggage? Do you when we have this conversation about baggage, what does that look like from a man's perspective? When you say a woman has baggage, or
they better put Erykah Badu on repeat.
Bag lady, you gonna hurt your back. Dragging all them bags like that. I guess nobody ever told you all you must hold on to is you, is you, is you by Erykah Badu.
Bag lady. I mean, y'all better put it on repeat. The thing is that it's
gonna miss your bus.
Exactly, you're gonna miss your bus. I mean, you know, dragging all the exactly. The thing is that as much as you think you're trying to hide your baggage, it reeks. That's what I think about baggage. As much as you think you're hiding it, it reeks. It shows. And so my thing is that we all have to look within first before we look outwardly. Do you really believe you are an awesome catch? Right? And if you, I mean, don't get around your girlfriends and everybody powering girl, shoe, huh? Yeah,
but
okay,
I'm gonna tell you like this. One of the things we talked about, Bobby, and this is the guy.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, as it relates to men and women, my best friend is gorgeous. Okay, this woman has all her finances in order, drives a Range Rover, works in finances. I mean, don't want for nothing. And she's not necessarily looking for somebody to, a millionaire, but she is looking for someone on her level financially. Okay, because she does have a son. And she's just, looking for somebody that just meet the basic checklist. That's it. And the thing is, she's content being single, as I am, until the right person comes. Sometimes people are single because it's a decision, not a decision in, I decide I'm gonna wake up and be single today. It's just like how Eric said, he's an introvert. I'm an introvert, extrovert. I know when to talk and I know when to be quiet and be to myself and enjoy my me time. And so I said to the ladies, I said, I isolate myself. I know I do that. That's because I love myself and I enjoy myself. I like music. I like to read. I mean, I like to cook. I'll be up, if I could be home and just doing me, I would do that. But I have a lot of different interests and it keeps me busy. I love the life that I have. I should say that. And so I think for some people, they're single because they have baggage. Some people are single because they don't want to be in a relationship. Some people are single because they're introverts. Some people are single because they don't necessarily know how to date.
What we have to do is that like your friend that you mentioned, we all got to be open to all the possibilities. There's so many different combinations of folks, and then maybe we got to turn around and change our stride a little bit. Maybe we keep meeting the same people because we walking in the same spots and we got the same stride.
And sometimes we don't put ourselves out there. We just
we'll put ourselves out there, or
Yeah.
maybe our defense mechanism's up and we won't even let nobody in. The
That's true,
attitude, the attitude, like, man, okay, cool, wow, and then we want somebody, and then as my sister said, intimidation. I'm like, yeah, I ain't never met nobody I was intimidated. I hear a lot of women that say that. Never met a woman I was intimidated, and then I feel, vice versa. It's not about that. It's about, are you meandering around in spaces and places where people are on your level? Now, if you're going over here to the spot, if you're going over here to Prospect Park, and you can't meet who you trying to meet, then maybe you need to go to a new spot. You know what I'm saying? So
Eddie V's,
right. You might need to go to Eddie V's or step it up, or go somewhere else. It's just, and do the dudes got the personality? Are they as live and whatever? Maybe not. I tell you what, and I'm sure Eric can attest. It's interesting when you meet different types of women. Maybe the woman you really want to settle down with ain't the one who's spicy and loud and hey, maybe that ain't her. Maybe that ain't her. Maybe that ain't the female you like. Yeah, I'll take her home to my mom. Right? It's so you got to turn around, and Eric got to go out, and I got to go out in certain categories, go to certain places, and you meet this caliber, and you like, yeah. Because I'm gonna tell you about one thing about men. They actually make decisions real quick. Am I right or wrong about that, Eric?
100%.
When a man hits that level in his head saying, I'm ready. And then she over here talking about what's wrong with him. There ain't nothing wrong with him. He ready. He ready. And you over here meeting these blue collar peasants, and they ready to just jump your bones all day. And they can't make no money, but he can get some hell of a loving. So you got to figure out what you want. You got to figure out what you want.
all I can say is to that, I'm grateful for the transparency, because to hear a man think about how women are processing relationships and needing to, work, just be aware, have some self-awareness about what they need to work on. Just hearing a man talk about it is different. It's different. Because last time it was the women talking about what they need, what they want. Now, Eric, I need to know, when you see yourself in your future, what are your must-haves? Because you don't have any children and you're single. What if she doesn't want any more children? Are you willing to, because some of us, like myself, I have adult sons, 2 adult sons and 1 10-year-old, because I made a decision. After my daughter, the shop was shut down and closed. I can't help nobody, okay?
Yeah, me either. We're going to name him Jesus and Mary or something, because I got my tubes tied. I was young, 24 years old. I'm like, I'm done, son. This is going to be a miracle if this happens.
Okay, so Eric, what you need, what you want? Do you want children?
I do, without a doubt. I do. Just going back to when I was talking about living my purpose in life, changing the trajectory of generational welfare into generational wealth. Legacy is what's born out of that. And, hopefully I'm lucky enough, but yes, I do have the strong desire, the natural urge to want to, everything that I'm working on building right now, in terms of making sure that the next generation doesn't necessarily have to start at square one like I did. They'll have more resources, access, and so have you. and hopefully it'll continue to compound, like compound interest. It'll continue to compound generation after generation. And so legacy really speaks through my spirit. And so, of course, I would like to have a seed. I would like to have children, a child, if the chips fall that way. On the other hand, I do know I'm getting older every year. So I'm a realist when it comes to that as well. Right. So I'm also, mentally, Leona, I'm at peace if it doesn't happen.
Right.
I always go back to, I have a twin sister, right? My twin sister, she has a son. So I have a nephew, a 7-year-old nephew, and I absolutely adore him. So he's kind of like my fallback plan. If I don't have my own seed, all right, nephew, it's on you.
Well, nephew.
Yeah.
I think, and I thank you for being honest about that, because some men need to be honest. Hey, I'm flexible. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because for some men, that is a deal breaker. If they can't have a son, if they can't have a child, that is definitely a deal breaker. But for me, because I did raise 2 sons. They are grown. My sons are grown men. Okay, I'm not going to date myself, but my sons are grown now, and neither one of them are home. Okay, but I will say this. When I know what it took to raise sons, I know what it took to raise my children. And as much as I love my children, as much as they are a part of my life, as much as they mean to me, they are who they are. They have their own lives. And so for me, when people say they want to have children, it goes back to purpose. What is God's purpose for your children? Because you can raise them with morals and values. You can raise them and give them exposure and to the best of your ability, because God is entrusting us with these lives. But at the end of the day, they are going to become who they choose to be. They're going to make their own decisions. They're going to have their own relationship with God, and they're going to become who they are destined to be. And so I look at relationships from a lot of different angles because I did raise children. And so I don't necessarily, like I said, for me, I don't want to get married just for the sake of being married. So that may or may not happen. I don't know. But I do know to have a peaceful, enjoyable life is such a blessing. It's worth more than gold. It's just a blessing. And I think that was just wonderful that you were transparent to say, you know what, if I don't have that, if I have the right woman and we're loving on each other, we're building our community. We are being 2 productive citizens, and I have my nephew, I'm gonna keep it moving with that, sister. That's good. That's great. Now, as we're wrapping it up, is there anything in particularly that you would like the audience to know about love, whether it's self-love, whether it's godly love, whether it's love between a man and a woman, love between parents? What exactly would you like to share with the audience today before we close out the podcast?
I go first this time. All right, Bobby, I'll take this one. For me, this is actually a hard lesson that I've learned, Leona, not too recently, maybe a couple years ago. When I talk about my purpose and my mission and all of that, I've been so hell bent on living that purpose, and chasing opportunity, where there's been times where I've gone extended periods of time from visiting family and maintaining those strong bonds with those that have always been there from day one. So for me, when you ask the question of what do I want the audience to know about love, just to share a hard lesson that I've learned recently is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're chasing. It doesn't matter what your purpose is, what you're building. Never secondhand or put family to the wayside or put that on the back burner. You know, and when I look up, I'm still fortunate enough to I have two grandparents left, you know, and I think back to like, man, I wish I would have spent more time. And now that they're in their last stages in life, you know, I'm taking heed to that and starting to make that more of a priority when I'm like, Dad, I wish it would have hit me sooner, you know? So when it comes to love, I think there's a fine balance between chasing your purpose versus, you know, maintaining those strong family bonds and making sure that those that have always loved you and nourished you from day one, that they know that the love is there, that it's reciprocated, that you appreciate it. So that's my message. That's the lesson I've learned. Yeah.
That was beautiful. I appreciate that. And Bobby, what about you?
The thing is that love is complementary. It is complementary. And that there's two things that have to happen is that you have to know how to love and know how to be loved. I think there are a lot of people that know how to, you know, it's almost like being a giver. I'm a giver, but I'm a horrible. Reciprocity is, I don't know what I'm just a giver. But to know how to love and be loved, you'd be surprised at the number of people that fail at that skill, talent, or whatever we want to call it. You know, I got a really good fraternity, a close friend. He's a fraternity brother. And this guy was something else. He was something else. He successful, clean cut, could actually, we would go out, it had a mouthpiece. It wasn't anybody he couldn't talk to or touch, it felt like. He met this woman after all these years I knew him. And like we just said earlier, it went from 0 to 100 real quick. All of a sudden, he's letting us know he's about to be engaged.
Wow. I'm
like, what? So then I cornered him up and I asked him, I said, hey, I'm curious, what was it about her that made you settle down? Like, bro, we had fun. Like we out, you know, what was it about her? His response was one of the most profound responses I've ever heard in my life. And he said that she's different, brother. She was surrounded by a lot of good men. That was his response. She was surrounded by a lot of good men. And I even asked him to elaborate on it. He said, man, her father, her brothers, her uncles, like she get it.
It matters.
Right. And so I think love is such a beautiful thing that not only can be realized real quick, if you actually have the right conversation with somebody without your agenda in your list, and you decide to be vulnerable enough to really engage somebody, forget what everybody else thinks, whatever qualifications, whatever your mom and daddy think, your friends would think, and you really engage with somebody, I think we all would be surprised at what love would look like. And it's funny what we say we won't do until we meet that person. They have you doing all the shit your ass said you would never do. and it's a beautiful insanity. Love, because I saw it, it's so beautiful, soft and engaging, and it has all the emotions. Pissed offtivity, it has all of that. The makeup, it embodies all of that. And we got to get away from this facade, this impression, this ideology of what love is. And just find somebody that you like more than you love. And that's my answer.
Well, thank you guys for being here this evening. It was just a great time listening to your opinions and thoughts about love. I appreciate you both. I can't wait for the ladies to hear your comments and thoughts. And what can I say? The Inspiration Incubator is on the move.